The streetlights on King Street flicker on just as the sun drops behind the roofline. You stand at the bus stop, waiting. The air smells like rain that hasn't fallen yet, and the faint sweetness of jasmine from someone's porch. There's a life you almost lived, one where you didn't stay, one where you got on a different bus. The apartment smells like old radiator heat and the lemon soap you use on the kitchen counter. You set your bag down, the same spot, every night. Through the window you can see the neighbor's porch light. It flickers twice before it settles. You've watched it do this for 3 years. Sometimes you count the seconds between the flickers. 1, 2, then steady. Your phone buzzes once on the table. You don't pick it up. Not yet. The kettle clicks on. You fill it without thinking. The water runs cold first, then warm. You wait for the temperature you know by touch. Not quite hot, just warm enough. This small ritual, this small knowing. This is the shape of your days now. Calendar blocks, screen glow at odd hours, the fatigue that settles in your shoulders by noon and stays there through the afternoon, through the evening, until you finally lie down. There are moments when you look up from your desk and realize an hour has passed and you've been staring at nothing, at the space between the monitor and the wall, at the way the light changes as the sun moves across the sky outside your window. The office is downtown, not far from the water. On clear days you can smell the harbor, salt and old wood and something green. On rainy days the streets flood at the corners. You know which intersections to avoid, which blocks to take when the tide is high. You met him here, in Charleston, 7 years ago, late September. It was at a bookstore on Broad Street that doesn't exist anymore. They closed 2 years ago, became a boutique hotel. He was reading the back of a travel guide to Portugal. You were looking for something you can't remember now. Poetry, maybe, or a cookbook you'd seen reviewed somewhere. He smiled first. You remember the way his voice sounded when he said your name for the first time. Careful, like he wanted to get it right. Like he was testing how it felt in his mouth before he said it out loud. The relationship was easy in a way that felt almost suspicious, like someone had forgotten to add the hard parts, like you'd skipped ahead to the middle of the story where everything already made sense. Sunday mornings. Coffee that he always made too strong. The way he'd leave notes on the bathroom mirror in dry erase marker. Small things. Thinking of you. Good luck today. Once he drew a terrible sketch of a cat. You left it there for a week. You talked about leaving, both of you. New York, Seattle, Portland. Somewhere bigger. Somewhere that felt like it was moving forward, not just existing. You'd stay up late looking at apartments online, laughing at the prices, at the size of the rooms, laughing because if you didn't laugh, you'd have to acknowledge how impossible it all seemed. But you never set a date, never bought a ticket, never started packing. And then one day he did. He got the offer. San Francisco. A real one. The kind you don't turn down. The kind that comes with relocation help and a salary that would mean something, that would change things. He asked you to come. Not in a grand way, just at dinner. Tuesday. Pasta. He said it the way you might ask someone to go to the grocery store with you. Casual. But his hands were shaking when he picked up his fork. You said you needed time to think about it, but you already knew. The jasmine on the porch across the street is still blooming, late for the season. You can smell it through the cracked window, sweet and a little bit sad, like something trying to hold on past its time. You didn't go. You told him you couldn't leave your family, your mom, the house she still lives in on the edge of town, the one you grew up in, the one with the blue door and the crepe myrtle in the front yard that blooms pink in summer. You told him you had responsibilities. And you did. You do. Your mom is fine, healthy, independent. She doesn't need you the way you said she did. But she's alone. Your dad left when you were 12, moved to Atlanta, sends cards at Christmas, sometimes calls on your birthday if he remembers. She never said she needed you to stay. She never asked you to. But you knew she wanted you to. You could see it in the way she looked at you when you mentioned San Francisco, the way her face did something, not quite falling, just settling. But that wasn't the whole truth. The whole truth was quieter. The whole truth was that you were afraid of what it would feel like to be unmoored, to not know which coffee shop was yours, to not recognize the streets, to walk past buildings that held no memory. You were afraid of who you might become in a place that didn't know you yet, afraid that the version of you that moved to San Francisco would have to be sharper, harder, more certain than you felt. He left in November. The morning was gray, rain threatening but not falling. He hugged you at the airport and you felt the edges of something ending. Not just the relationship, something larger. Some possibility closing like a door you'd only looked through but never walked past. You told yourself it was the right choice. You still tell yourself that sometimes. The apartment is small, 1 bedroom. The kitchen barely fits a table. The bathroom door doesn't close all the way. There's a crack in the ceiling above the bed that looks like a river if you squint. You've stared at it enough to know. But the light comes in soft through the east window in the morning, honey-colored, warm. And you know the sounds. The radiators knock. The way the floorboards creak near the bathroom. The dog 2 doors down that barks exactly 3 times at 7 a.m., like clockwork, like a very punctual alarm. Your mom calls on Thursdays, always around 7, after Wheel of Fortune, before Jeopardy. You can hear the TV in the background sometimes, the music, the applause. You drive over on Saturdays. You bring groceries, milk, bread, the oranges she likes from the farmer's market when they have them. You sit with her while she watches her shows. HGTV mostly. People buying houses they can't afford. People renovating kitchens that don't need renovating. She doesn't ask you if you're happy, but sometimes she looks at you in a way that makes you think she's wondering. Her head tilts slightly, her eyes narrow, not unkindly, just searching. Once she asked if you still talk to him. You said sometimes, which was true then, less true now. She nodded, didn't ask anything else. Your work is fine. It pays enough. You don't love it, but you don't hate it either. It's the kind of job that exists in the middle. Necessary, but not urgent. Steady, but not exciting. You answer emails. You attend meetings where people talk in circles. You update spreadsheets. You smile at coworkers in the hallway. You eat lunch at your desk more often than not. There's a woman named Patricia who sits 2 desks over. She brings in cookies on Fridays. Chocolate chip. Too sweet. You eat them anyway. She talks about her grandchildren. Shows you photos on her phone. You nod. You say they're beautiful. They are. There are people you call friends. You meet them for drinks sometimes. Every few weeks. A bar downtown. Nothing fancy. They talk about their relationships, their jobs, their plans for the weekend. You listen. You laugh when you're supposed to. You add small things to the conversation. Small enough that no one notices when you're not really there. But there's a part of you that feels like you're standing just outside the moment, watching, not fully inside it. Like you're viewing your own life through glass. The bus stop on King Street is where you wait most evenings. The same route, the same driver most days. A man with gray hair and a beard. He nods when you get on. You nod back. You've never asked his name. He's never asked yours. But there's something in that nod. Recognition. The small kindness of routine. You sit in the same seat, 3rd row, window side. You watch the city slide past. The church steeples, the palmetto trees, the old houses with their wide porches and their rocking chairs. The harbor in the distance when the bus turns on Calhoun. the water flat and gray in the fading light. Charleston in autumn feels like something slipping away slowly. The heat loosens. The tourists thin out. The air gets softer, breathable. The light changes, turns gold earlier in the day, fades faster. You like it this way, quieter, more yours, less performed. But sometimes you wonder if you like it because it asks less of you, because you can move through it without being seen, without having to explain yourself. The kettle whistles now. You pour the water over the tea bag, watch the color bleed out. Amber, then brown, then something darker. Steam rises, fades, dissipates into the apartment air. You think about him sometimes, more than sometimes. He sends you photos still, not often, every few months. San Francisco fog, a farmer's market, his apartment with the view of the bay, the Golden Gate in the distance, bridges and water and fog that makes everything look like a dream. He's seeing someone. He didn't tell you directly, didn't announce it, but you can see it in the edges of the pictures. A second coffee mug, a jacket that isn't his, a bookshelf in the background that holds books you don't recognize. You're glad for him. You are. You tell yourself that, and mostly you mean it. You are. There are nights when you lie in bed and try to imagine what his life looks like now. The rhythms, the routines, whether he still makes his coffee too strong, whether he still leaves notes for someone, whether they laugh at his terrible drawings. You wonder if he thinks about you, if he ever stands at his window and looks out at the fog and remembers Charleston, remembers the heat, the jasmine, the slow Sundays. You wonder if he regrets asking you to come, or if he's relieved you said no. If you'd gone, if you'd packed your things and gotten on that plane, there'd be fog in the mornings, the kind that sits heavy and wet, the kind that makes you feel like you're living inside a cloud. You'd wake up to the sound of foghorns from the bay, distant, lonely, beautiful in a haunted way. The apartment would be smaller, more expensive. You'd be on the fourth floor of a building that creaks when the wind picks up, that smells like other people's cooking. Garlic, ginger, things you can't identify. The windows would be old, single pane, cold to the touch in winter. You'd hear the street below, cars, voices, the city that never quite goes silent. But the light would be different, sharper, colder, the kind of light that makes you feel awake even when you're tired, the kind that slants through windows at angles you're not used to, that makes shadows you don't recognize. You'd work longer hours, the kind of place where people eat lunch at their desks, where late meetings feel normal, expected, where leaving at 6 makes you the first one out. But you'd feel it, the hum, the sense that things are happening, that you're part of something moving, building, creating, that your work matters to someone beyond yourself. You'd have a nicer title, more responsibility, a salary that would let you stop checking your bank account before you buy coffee, that would let you say yes when someone suggests dinner out. He'd be there in the mornings. He'd still make coffee too strong. You'd still argue about it, gently. A routine you'd fall into like muscle memory. There'd be Sunday walks through the mission, farmers markets, the smell of bread from the bakery on the corner, tamales from a cart, the sound of Spanish and Tagalog and Mandarin mixing with English on the sidewalks. You'd hold his hand without thinking about it. Your fingers would know the shape of his, the callus on his thumb, the way he'd squeeze once when you crossed the street. An anchor, a pulse. You'd have routines, new ones, a coffee shop where the barista would eventually know your order, where you'd correct them the first few times, where they'd finally get it right and you'd feel stupidly proud of the small belonging of being known. A park where you'd sit on the bench near the cypress trees, where you'd watch dogs chase each other, where you'd read or not read, where you'd just sit and watch the fog roll in over the hills. You'd call your mom on Thursdays still, but the conversations would be shorter, the questions more surface. How's the weather? How's work? Are you eating enough? She'd ask when you're coming home. You'd say soon. Neither of you would believe it. You'd hear the distance in her voice. Not anger, not even disappointment exactly, just absence, the space where you used to be. You'd fly home for Thanksgiving, Christmas, maybe Easter if you could swing it. The visits would feel both too short and too long, compressed, intense. You'd walk through your old neighborhood and notice things you'd forgotten. The oak tree on the corner that someone finally cut down, the house that got painted, the coffee shop that closed, the restaurant that opened. You'd feel like a guest in your own history. The version of you that lives there, she'd be tired in different ways. The kind of tired that comes from ambition, from wanting, from reaching for something that's always just slightly out of reach. She'd have moments where she'd stand at the window of that fourth-floor apartment and look out at the fog and wonder if she made the right choice, if the cost was worth it, if becoming someone new meant losing someone old. She'd think about Charleston sometimes, the easy warmth of it, the slowness, the way time moved like honey there, thick and golden and in no particular hurry. She'd think about the porch light across the street from the apartment she left behind, the one that flickers twice. She'd wonder if someone else is watching it now, if someone else has learned its rhythm. But she wouldn't go back. That version of you would have sharper edges. She'd be thinner, not in body, in spirit, worn down by the pace, by the constant motion, by the pressure to always be on, always available, always optimizing. She'd be good at her job, better than good. People would notice her. People would say her name in meetings, would ask for her opinion, would value what she brings. She'd get promoted, once, maybe twice. She'd feel the satisfaction of that, the validation, the proof that she's capable, that she made the right choice, that she belongs here. But she'd also feel the cost, the meetings that run long, the emails that come at 9 at night, the expectation that you'll always say yes, that you'll always have bandwidth, that your work is your identity. Dinners would be takeout more often than not, containers stacked in the fridge, good intentions that never quite materialize. You'd mean to cook, you'd buy groceries, you'd stand in the produce section at Trader Joe's and fill your basket with vegetables you'll never use. But the hours would slip, the week would slip, and suddenly it's Thursday and the spinach has gone bad and you're ordering Thai food again. He'd understand. He'd be doing the same thing. You'd both be caught in the current, swimming, treading water, surviving. There'd be weekends where you'd plan to explore, to go to that museum everyone talks about, that hike in Marin, that new restaurant in Oakland that got written up in the Chronicle. But more often you'd just stay in, order Thai food, order Italian, order whatever arrives fastest. Fall asleep on the couch with the TV on. Wake up at 2 a.m. with sore necks and numb arms and drag yourselves to bed. It wouldn't be bad. It just wouldn't be easy anymore. The relationship would shift, slowly, the way weather shifts. You wouldn't notice until you're suddenly cold and can't remember when you put on a sweater. The fights would be small at first, about dishes, about plans, about who said they'd take care of something and didn't, who forgot to buy milk, who left the bathroom light on again. Small frictions that you'd laugh off, until you couldn't. And then they'd be about bigger things, about time, about priorities, about whether this, all of this, is what you both wanted when you said yes to San Francisco. when you said yes to each other. He'd work late more often. You would too. You'd text goodnight from different rooms, from different offices, from different parts of the city sometimes. You'd see each other in the mornings, passing, making coffee, grabbing keys, running to catch trains. There'd be a night, maybe 6 months in, maybe a year, where you'd both sit at that small kitchen table and realize you're lonely, even though you're together, especially because you're together. Because the loneliness of being alone is easier than the loneliness of sitting across from someone and feeling the distance anyway. You'd try, both of you. You'd talk about it, acknowledge it, promise to be better, more present, more intentional. You'd plan a weekend away, Monterey, the coast, somewhere with ocean and quiet, where you could remember why you chose this, why you chose each other. And it would be good, for a moment. You'd walk on the beach, you'd hold hands, you'd eat seafood at a restaurant with a view. You'd laugh at an inside joke you'd forgotten you had. You'd sleep in, make love in the morning, feel like yourselves again. But on the drive back, the silence in the car would feel heavier than it should. Not comfortable, not companionable, just heavy. Like you'd both realize something, seen something, that you can't unsee. The alternate version of you would lie awake some nights, listening to the foghorns, listening to him breathe beside you, even breathing, deep, peaceful, while you stare at the ceiling and count the cracks in the plaster. And she'd wonder if the person she was becoming was someone she recognized, someone she liked, someone she'd choose to be if the choice was clear. She'd wonder if ambition is just another word for running away from something, from yourself, from the parts of you that want small things, quiet things, things that don't fit on a resume. But she'd also have moments. Coffee at the little place on Valencia with the blue door, the one that's never crowded before 9. The way the light hits the table just right at 8 a.m., honey-colored, like Charleston light but sharper, cleaner. The project she'd finish, the one she'd been working on for months, for late nights and early mornings. The feeling when it's done, when it ships, when people notice, when it matters. When you can point to something and say, I made that, I did that. Walking across the Golden Gate on a clear morning, rare, so rare. The city behind her, the ocean ahead, Marin in the distance. The feeling of being small in a good way, of being part of something larger, of standing on a bridge between one place and another and feeling the possibility of both. Drinks with coworkers who become friends, real ones, the kind who know your story, who ask how you're really doing, who wait for the real answer, who offer their homes when you need space, who text you articles that make them think of you, who remember your birthday without Facebook. That version of you would have a different life. Not better, not worse, just different. Different rhythms, different routines, different morning light, different sounds at night. And she'd wonder about the life she left behind, the one in Charleston, the one that felt like home, the one with the radiator knock and the jasmine and the porch light that flickers twice. She'd wonder if that version of her is happier, if that version of her made the right choice, if staying is braver than leaving, or if they're both just different kinds of courage. She'd wonder if you can ever really know, if the life you're living is the right one, or if all lives are just equally right, equally wrong, equally full of small joys and small regrets. You're standing at the kitchen window now. The tea has gone lukewarm in your hand. Outside, the streetlights are fully on now. The sky has gone from blue to purple to almost black. The neighbor's porch light flickers twice and settles, right on schedule. You think about the version of you in San Francisco, the one with the foghorns and the fourth floor apartment and the life that's moving faster, the one who's tired in different ways, who's lonely in different ways, who's trying in different ways. You wonder if she thinks about you too, if she stands at her window and imagines the woman in Charleston who stayed, who chose the quiet, who chose the known, who chose to know where she belonged, even if that meant wondering what else she could have become. There's no way to know which one of you made the right choice. Maybe there isn't a right choice. Maybe there's just the life you're living, and the life you didn't, and the constant, quiet wondering about the space between them. Your phone buzzes again. This time you pick it up. It's your mom, asking if you're coming by this weekend, saying she got the oranges you like, saying she misses you. You text back, yes, Saturday, afternoon, love you. You set the phone down. The radiator knocks, once, twice, settling into its evening rhythm. The dog 2 doors down barks, once, twice, 3 times, right on schedule. You pour the tea down the sink, watch it swirl, disappear, rinse the cup, set it in the dish rack to dry. Tomorrow you'll use it again, the same cup, the same routine. The apartment is warm. The light from the hallway spills in under the door. Soft, familiar, yours. Outside, Charleston settles into night. The jasmine on the porch smells faint through the window. The streetlights hum their quiet electric song. The city slows, breathes, rests. You think about the life you almost lived, the one with the fog and the bridges and the ambition that would have worn you down and built you up in equal measure. And you think about this one, the one that's here, the one that's yours, the one where you know the weight of the radiator's knock, the one where the porch light flickers twice before it settles, the one where you can still smell jasmine in autumn. It's not perfect. It's not a story you'd tell at a party. It's not a life that impresses people. It's not a choice that feels dramatic or brave or even particularly interesting. But it's the one where you know which street floods when the tide is high, where you know the bus drivers nod, where your mom calls on Thursdays, where Patricia brings cookies on Fridays, where the jasmine blooms late and you're here to notice. The one where you can still smell jasmine in autumn. You turn off the kitchen light. The apartment settles into darkness, not complete. The hallway light, the street light through the window, the small glows that make a home recognizable, even when you can't see it. Tomorrow, you'll take the same bus, sit in the same seat, watch the city slide past the window. You'll go to work, you'll answer emails, you'll smile at Patricia, you'll drive home, you'll stand at this window again. And maybe that's enough. Maybe that's all any life is. Small routines, small knowings, small moments of recognition. The porch light, the radiator knock, the jasmine, the tea. Maybe the life you didn't live isn't better, just different. Equally full of small wonders and small disappointments. Equally worthy. Equally yours in some parallel way that doesn't matter because you're here, in this one. The radiator knocks once more in the dark. A greeting, a companion, a sound that says you're home.